Oh, fuck. Sorry. Let's find an angle. Okay. So I wanted to make this video for a really long time. I actually made a few audio recordings, but I would rather make video. Sorry for my accent. I'm not a native English speaker. I try my best though. So I wanted to talk about the Attack on Titan ending. This is for the manga readers, so I guess trigger warning, spoiler alert. Let's start with my history with Attack on Titan. I actually got into Attack on Titan way early, way back when it started. I think when I started there were 3 episodes total. I started with the first episode and I kind of got turned off by it because it had this weird vibe which wasn't very anime-like. I was used to the usual shonen anime like Naruto and the other, so it didn't look very much Japanese. It kind of had this German vibe. Not that I have anything against. I'm actually kind of partly German, but nonetheless, I didn't really get the vibe. So some time passed, and my best friend at the time, called me. He was like super hyped up. It was like I think the first season was not really wrapping up, but it was I guess nearing the ending of the first season. So my friend called me and he was like, "Yo, you gotta come by, like, you gotta check this new anime I'm watching. It's like super hype and like it's the tension is building, and I just want you to be there, so we can experience it together." So I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll come by." I did drop by, bought some snacks and everything, and we were at the point where they were chasing the female Titan. Um, but he was like, "Yeah, let's watch it till the beginning." So yeah, I came there and I was like, "Oh, that's that anime." Like I tried it and I didn't really like it that much, with the horses and swords and everything. So he actually decided to watch from the scratch so I can get up to par to where he was. Mm, so we got to the episode, and you kind of got the how can I phrase this? The thing is, with the Titans, you kind of knew how fast they moved and like what kind of situations you would try to get yourself into in order to survive the regular Titans. And then they were on the mission to, I guess, mm, they were on a mission to discover because they thought that there were, because with the discovery of Eren being a humanoid Titan, they knew there were others, so they wanted like to find they wanted to lure out the enemy Titan, I guess. So, and then I vaguely, not vaguely, I actually, vaguely is a bad word. I clearly remember the scene and the feeling I had when the female Titan first appeared, like her running, sprinting basically, like it still uh, runs a chill down my spine. It was such a crazy moment. I felt me and my friend like having like a massive adrenaline rush just from that. It was so good. Like it blew my mind. and from then I was like a hardcore fan, like, and I was like, I didn't even get into the manga. I was like patiently waiting season by season from back then, and it was just getting better and better, like with the Beast Titan and everything, you know, like I was just really trying hard not to get spoiled, you know, by anything. mm, so that was pretty well, and it was just getting better and better, and the climax for me, I guess, was the season 3. uh, Even though some people say season 3 part 1 was kind of underwhelming, I really enjoyed it, because I'm more into the, like, I love the action and the plot twist and the, you know, bombastic whatever, you know, like, mm, what is it called, like mind freaks and stuff like that. But season 3 part 1 was pretty amazing as well. And then season 3 part 2 came, and it was just something that I never saw, like, because I didn't have much point of reference when it came to anime. Uh, when it came to anime at that point, mm, like I watched a lot of anime, but I never watched an anime at that level, so that was a new territory for me. So I was really like holding it in high regard, I guess. Um, and season 3 part 2 had so many intense moments. I remember like crying so much at the, uh, I guess, the Irvin's charge, and then the Armin's sacrifice and everything, you know, and then the really emotional moment of who they were gonna pick to revive with the injection. And then of course the ocean scene where Eren looks in the distance and he's like, you know, they, I mean, of course the basement discovery was, it took me like a long time to wrap my head around all of that, like what was, because it was a huge information dump, like that the Titans weren't the actual threat, that it was just a small, the actual threat was like the whole world against this little island. um so, and that was that. And then you gotta understand, uh, from where I come talking here, is that most of my empathy and my feelings goes towards the suffering of the Paradise Island, even though I understand that the whole situation with the cycle of hatred and everything, and that the warriors were brainwashed, even though they I consider them brainwashed when they were children, but once they came into contact with the Paradisians, they very well knew that Paradisians were pretty much the same, and they still decided to do a lot of bad stuff, which is understandable. Um, and that is gonna be a big point of my criticism towards the latter part of this video. Um, so then the season 4 comes by, and we are introduced to the other part of the world, and uh, now there have been many things that drew me towards Attack on Titan, and it was the clear, uh, how can I phrase this? There was a lot of mystery going on, and like you never knew what was around the corner. You never knew who was the enemy, and like now we are like learning about the Marley and everything, and their position and the Eldians inside the Marley, and it kind of felt like Attack on Titan was always somehow of a gray area type thinking. Like you would never feel like your hand was being held towards what was good or right. Like you were given the right to decide for yourself. But for some reason during the major part of season 4, I felt like I was being not gaslighted. I that was as well happening at the very latter part of the series. But I was kind of being guilt trippen into feeling bad for the enemy, I guess, which was which was totally fine for me. And then we found out that Aaron had infiltrated there, and there we had the Tiber speech. He declared war towards Paradise. You had people in the audience clapping, crying, tears of joy. They were ready to invade Paradise yet again, even though they found out that Paradisians were just regular people like themselves. And it was fine for them to destroy this little country that just went into this secluded area and just wanted to live peaceful lives. But the greed of Marley was just overwhelming and they wanted everything for themselves. So now, so now Eren had to act. In these years, Hanji and Armin, who were supposedly the commanders, didn't do jack. They couldn't come up with an idea that would solve their problems, because that is the problem that Isayama made, is that he basically wrote himself into a corner where there was no that pretty much the genocide, as bad as it sounds, was the only option. Like it was a situation where it was either us or them. So mm imagine a scenario where Eren didn't do the rumbling. Like, you gotta understand now that the alliance was crafted, and then the we are kind of getting out of touch of reality, because with if you exclude Titans and everything, Attack on Titan is a pretty realistic uh, human world scenario type thing. So as well as many anime, because that's the reason that we are so empathetic towards the characters, because they are portrayed as kind of ourselves. So now it was getting into this territory where I couldn't empathize with them, because they were making decisions that were pretty much putting their own countries, their own families, their own friends into danger, uh, to help the world that was just about to knock on their doors and literally destroy them. Like, they had no possible way of defending themselves. It was like they were 200 years behind Marley and the rest of the world, so they had no chance to defend. Um, and Aaron was pretty much forced. He knew he even tried, from what I've read a lot of material, and from what I've came to understand, that he tried a lot of things, and he tried to go against the future memories that he inherited, and it was pretty much, he figured out that it was just set into stone and that he couldn't do much than just do the rumbling. Um, okay, sorry, my battery went out, so I'm gonna continue. So what I was saying, I think I was talking about Aaron having no other option than that he was Isama wrote himself into a corner, so he didn't really know what to do. Morality wise, if it was moral for Aaron to what kind of message the anime would give if Aaron concluded his genocide, then I guess the message would be that the only solution of war is to basically genocide the entire world, and then you're fine. But it was a completely different scenario than it is in the real world. Um, it was basically they were given the choice to lay down and die or fight back, and they didn't have they didn't have the required they didn't have the capacity to put up a fight, both numbers wise and technology wise, but they did have the option of rumbling. So and there was the euthanasia plan, which was pretty sick, you know. Um, uh, Try to think of it that way. The crimes against Eldians were pretty much racially motivated. So if you're up to euthanize an entire race of people just because of their ancestry, then that speaks volume of you as a person. I'm not trying to push blame of anyone, but on anyone, but that's a fact. Um, so Aaron was in a pretty lame position. Um, like he was pretty much going forward with what he thought was the only choice and the only situation where Paradise would win and his friends would stay alive. And I think he had a vision where the curse was lifted as well. So that was a big win-win for him. I don't think he knew the extent of how many people would die or everything. He knew there would be a lot of death and destruction. But then again, people nowadays people look from a really one-sided lens. They are looking at Aaron genociding, stepping over people, but they tend to forget that if Aaron didn't do anything, that's exactly what the Marley and the rest of the world would have done to Paradise and had been doing for uh, last few years, without any guilt or shame or remorse. Like I didn't see any of that, uh, apart from Reiner a bit, but they didn't conclude really well, as we know. Uh, at the end, his characters his character ended with him sniffing leathers. I don't know. So, anyways, let's get back to the topic. I don't wanna bore too much. I'm gonna go over some of the big things of basically 138, and 139 basically. Uh, so what I had the problem with was, firstly, let's go time wise. Aaron's and Armin's talk in the paths, where Aaron falls down, suddenly cries over Mikasa. I'm not. This is not an anime. I watched a lot of anime that was a romance. Um, that was the focal point of the anime, was the romance, and I never watched Attack on Titan as an anime where I sought some kind of romantic relationship or whatever. But whenever there were some, it was very poorly written, and it was like, I don't know, the situations were either otherworldly or just plain awful. I don't know. Like, if you can recount the romantic situations in this anime, um, you get Mikasa with her obsession, like sick obsession with Eren. You get Annie and Armin, which is like, can you imagine that ever happening in any situation? A person responsible for deaths of God knows how many of your people and your family, and uh, who was fighting your best friend. Like I don't know. And then they get like out of so many people, uh, those two people like find some sort of connection. Like some people are saying, oh, they know each other's burdens or whatever there is. Like they're both mass murderers or whatever. But still, like it's a type of thing that happens in wars. Uh, I don't see two mass genociders from opposing factions getting in love. I don't even know why they got into love. There wasn't much interactions between those two, so I don't know. Um, and then there's especially Ymir and the King Fritz, which was sick. I'm not even gonna go into details with that. Uh, Apparently, it was pointed that there was some sort of connection between King Fritz and Eren and Ymir and Mikasa, which is like where King Fritz was abusive. He treated Ymir as a slave. Um, where I don't know, is the word slave the connection? Like we still don't know whether Mikasa was uh, driven by her Ackerman blood or was working according to her own free will. We still don't know. Um, we still don't know whether like the main point of Ymir freeing the curse was she saw Mikasa basically uh, kill her own love and get over him. So that she saw that and she was like, yeah, um, in how many thousand years, 2000 years, she didn't see any other couple in that type situation where an abusive victim got over her abuser in a much more normal way and actually did get over her abuser, where Mikasa still left the scarf and like went to visit. She she like she carried the Aaron's decapitated head over the ocean, God knows how. Buried it and then like went there and bawled her eyes out like for 3 years, and then married John out of necessity, and I guess settled down for him. Um, what else is there? Uh, the whole alliance thing is so outlandish, where a group of people would go against their own nation, where John himself pointed out that going against Eren would doom Paradise, and it was pointed out so many times. Um, and all of them agreed to do that. Um, if you find a group of 10 people that you would never find a group of like 10 friends that would be like, yeah, let's screw our own nation to save the enemy who's been freaking us over for God knows how long, and everybody agrees. um, it's ludicrous. um, Joining with the enemy, uh, later being pretty much buddy with them, uh, some becoming lovers. Mm, that is, I don't know, it is so disconnected. I think when I felt the disconnect was when Hanji was like screaming at John, like, genocide is bad, genocide is bad. Okay, really? I never knew that. It never popped into my mind that genocide was bad, but can did you in these few years of the time skip, did you manage to find a better option? I don't think you did. I don't know. And then with her death, we are gaslighted into thinking that Irvin would have been for the same thing, where Irvin's biggest thing was sacrifice atop sacrifices, like he was sitting on a mountain of corpses um, for the sake of paradise, and he ended up giving up his own dream to just to I don't know. It's like it's a really sad situation with Irvin, um, and then he's made into this guy who is he was the biggest um, he was the biggest spokesperson for like saving Aaron, and Aaron is our hope, and Aaron is the hope for paradise, and then he's made into this guy who is like all for Hanji's and Armin's new plan to, I guess, kill Aaron or whatever they were thinking um, would happen. Uh, and then all the let's I'm gonna jump back and forth because I don't have a script, so I'm just going off on a tangent. Uh, the plot holes uh, were a bit. I was able to skip like few of them, even though they were kind of noticeable from the get-go. Like firstly, as we all know, Grisha's timeline plot hole where he told Zeke to stop Aaron, and then went and gave Aaron the Titans. So that's a plot hole. Um, then there's the whole thing with what was it? Emir. Some defenders claimed the Aaron. Yeah. I think the biggest disappointment is that everything seems so pointless now. Like with other anime, you can watch it and still enjoy it. And if I try to watch Attack on Titan, there's so many parts where it either feels pointless or it either feels fake. Like the whole charge and everything with Irvin and the scouts, it feels so pointless knowing that the paradise would get destroyed. Um, I guess a decade after the whole charade, like basically flattened to the earth. Um, so they didn't deserve that. The civilians didn't deserve that. They had every right to. I know that he tried to do like a little bit of yeah, they became Jaegerists and stuff like that, as if that is a bad thing. You know, turning Flock into a villain. Was Flock really a villain? Well, I couldn't say that he was a good person, but he was working uh, for the sake of paradise, you know, and for some people that is so mind-boggling. I think Isayama uh, knew that if he made Flock a normal person and just had him have this he, like be a replacement for Irvin, um, that would have been a completely different thing. But he made Flock into this psychopathic murderer who would kill uh, just for a little provoke, just from being provoked. So yeah, that was, I guess, a big reason for people not siding with him. Um, that situation was pretty bad. Then there's a lot of Deus ex machina, like certain situation being placed exactly where they should be. Like I don't know if that's a Deus ex machina, but uh, like when Aaron was running towards Zeke, like right there, Gabi knew miraculously where he would land, where he would run, and she sniped his head off. Okay. Um, then the whole paths thing, it's still so inexplicable. Like Armin getting to where Zeke was, and then like after Zeke was there for God knows how long, Armin showed him a leaf. which made Zeke question his whole life or whatever. I don't hacking know. Um, to where he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go and die," which is a plot hole. Zeke dying should not have stopped the rumbling. Zeke was just a tool for Eren to get into the paths and access Grisha's memories in order to mess with them, I guess. I'm not get into the semantics of that. Um, but yeah, so Zeke dying should not have stopped the rumbling. Eren was already merged with the spinal creature and Ymir, so he already had everything to keep the rumbling going. But whatever, we can say that that Eren stopped the rumbling by himself. God knows. Uh, the plot armor of the Alliance was insane. Like, if you remember how much trouble uh, even the like elite scouts had with regular titans, sorry, and then you have like hundreds of titan shifters not being able to scar a single scout alliance member, not gonna call them scouts, sorry. um, which was ridiculous. The only casualty was Hanji suicide. um, it was like, who is the least popular? Let's kill Hanji. Um, what else was there? Yeah, the ghost scene. Like, what was that? The spinal creature disappeared, and there we had all these ghosts popping off, like giving their final goodbyes. And what I noticed that Marco's ghost wasn't there. Mm, so why was that funny for me is because there were like now Marcos killers, Annie and Reiner, who brutally murdered the guy, and Marco's own best friends were now buddy and lovers with them, which was disgusting. That was disgusting. Imagine having friends like that. Like, no thanks. No thanks, bro. And then Eren killing his own mother was a huge stomp in the stomach. Um, one of his biggest motivators was Eren's mother's words, "You were born into this world." And now we learn, just for another shock factor, that Eren actually uh, either killed or was a part of his mother's murder. Now, people who defend this, they say, "Oh, Eren's merged with the founders, so he saw this as his own doing." This was actually Ymir. This was actually Ymir, you know. Um, and then there were theories that Eren was the one who freed the pigs, which was funny as hell, because when pigs were freed, um, Ymir didn't have her Titan powers yet, so there was no way for Eren and Ymir to connect, even if there was some kind of an outlandish way for them to connect like that. It wasn't possible. Um, but yeah, watching it now kills it. Imagine watching the Eren's mother dying scene, which is like one of the one of the most important scenes in the anime, and then knowing that Eren was the one who caused that. That is like beyond painful to watch again. And watching most of the other things. Um, I don't know. I don't know where else to go. Like, there's so many things that are so wrong. Um, like the alliance member killing their own comrades, Samuel and what was the other guy? Never mind. And then Connie killed one of them, even though he was disarmed. They were killing them just so they can. They're this big hero is going to save the world, and seconds before Connie tried to feed Falco to his own mother for his own sake, and after that, like minutes after, he's like, "Yeah, we're going to save the world," and then first time seeing Annie like eat chewing on pie, and they're all laughing, and like psychotic murder who you gotta think logically, like you can use the facts, but you know that these guys were back there to kill everybody. Like, you think they would have given any mercy to Paradise? No, no way. They came here to kill, to murder, and to destroy, and take away the Titans so they can gain an upper hand on the other nations. It was just greed. And the warriors were acting as puppets, we know, but still, I don't know. And then after Eren died, they all cried because they found out that he was doing it for them. Oh, Eren, it's fine that you killed 80% of the population as long as it was for our sakes. It's sad. It's really sad. It's sad that I was preaching into people's ears so much about this anime, and I had such high hopes, and even if it didn't deliver like the masterpiece, I'm not the type of guy who was like, oh, Chad Aaron, oh, Aaron Historia, blah blah blah, shipper, I'm not that kind of person. I just wanted a normal ending, like every other anime. I'm not into like super high standards or whatever. Like, um, I just want an anime to be realistic, and when it's not realistic, it's really hard to sympathize. I can't find an ounce of myself to sympathize with the warriors and their plans, uh, like their noble plan of saving the world. Uh, Armin like acting like he's a hero. He's he got piggyback rided by Eren the whole anime. Like, where's the hero-ness? His only heroic part was written just so he can be revived like minutes after that. I don't know. Hanji as well. What have they done for Paradise? They doomed Paradise for destruction. They were looking after themselves. Like, okay, I think that's enough of that. I'm gonna go into my last part. I'm gonna actually light up another cigarette because I'm getting really upset, and I've shed a lot of tears uh, during this anime. I've had a lot of emotion. It was a really, really huge emotional roller coaster. I've actually finished watching season 4 part. I don't even know. I'm lost with all the parts thing. It's kind of the thing before what is happening right now. Mm, so I decided to get into manga, and that was like a long time ago, and then I stopped following everything Attack on Titan related up until it started airing again, and I can't bring myself to watch it. Like whatever happens, there is no AOE. We all know that. Like we can all hope and cope, and it's not gonna happen. They might change something here and there, but even that, I don't think so. But whatever. Um, the last thing I wanna get into is the utter assassination of Eren Yeager as a character. Uh, Eren Yeager was the type of person that uh, he was just earning for freedom. Like as a child, you can see him sitting down on the grass, looking and imagining what was outside the walls, and where when he found about Armin's book, he that even more reinforced the feeling of where he wanted to be and what he wanted to explore and stuff like that. And then he realized that he was being caged in, and as the time went by and he was even succeeding into destroying the barriers that were keeping him caged, and there were still more and more and even bigger threats and bigger threats. And we understood that. We certainly empathized with that feeling of being caged and trying to get out of the cage and trying to uh, it's a bit of an extreme statement, but when you're caged by certain factors, you want to get out of there, and you want to find that you want to feel that freedom like you felt at a certain part, like um, you know what I mean, like just feeling like there is no burden on your back or on your soul. um, and I guess Aaron was really struggling to find that thing. Um, and Aaron was really an emotional person, but during part of the chapter 139, it all goes down the toilet, because then we learn that it was all a charade, that his whole thing was just to secure his few, let's say, traitorous friends to have like long lives, and that was pretty much it at the cost of 80% of the population. Um, was that a good trade off? Not really. Not really. I would have rather, if it was like that, I would have rather just had Parody stomped and flattened than Eren kill the 80% of the world just so few of his friends can live. Yeah, I guess that would have been a much better trade-off. But that's not anime quality, so yeah, we're talking realistically. Um, and you have to remember, while he was having the tangent about Mikasa being with another man, at the same moment he was stepping over people with his colossal titans. So that was pretty disgusting uh, to be thinking about that. And then there was Armin punching Eren for not being able to confess his feelings for Mikasa. But there was no like, Eren, please stop doing this, and stuff like that. Like Armin changed a lot. Armin went from being one of my favorite characters. I used to see myself a lot in him, because I was always kind of uh, I guess I wasn't that much bullied, but I was verbally bullied, I guess, and I was always uh, kind of skinny and short, and uh, the only thing I had going for me was a little bit of the intelligence, I guess. So I could talk my way out of like dangerous situations where I was in potential harm. So yeah. So I really empathized with him, and I really wished that he would like progress into a more Irvin-like role. But after season 4, he kind of regressed into uh, season 1 Aaron. He was like emotional. He would go against his own ways of non-violence. He would punch people, scream. Uh, I don't know. It was just he became such an illogical person. Like the Armin I knew, he knew Aaron inside out, and he should have known what Aaron was doing and what his plans was. But for some reason, the his emotions overcame him, and he couldn't realize that. Uh, as a closing statement, I wanna recall a scene where Alliance is fighting the flock and his Jaegerists, and all the flock's people have to do is blow the boat up, and they can't get a single hit on the Alliance members, as we've talked about the plot armor. And Mikasa is there, like badass, slashing people and like bathing in the blood. And I think that paints a picture of what this is. It's just a bunch of bombastic explosions, gore, uh, twists and turns, and I guess Isayama was lucky. I can't find another reason other than that. Like, we can talk about him being pressured by the higher ups to not have the ending that he might have envisioned for his own story. That might have been true, but it might have been also that he was just very lucky and had some sort of an idea of what a good plot twist looks like, but nearing the end, the plot twists seem just existing for the bare reason of existing. Like, they had no substance. It was like Eren killed his mother. Why? God knows why. It was a plot twist. So yeah, why would he kill his own mom? I would rather kill myself than kill my own mom, but okay, I guess. Yeah, to do it for some reason, to save Armin. I don't know. It feels really sad. I was really looking forward to watch Attack on Titan till the end and have it go down as one of the best animes I ever watched. And then I'm just it it kind of turned out that any anime I watch lately is better than the season 4 and onwards. It's just not that good. Aaron is a bird. The Alliance is on a mission to spread the story. Historia kind of now agrees, or was it Armin, or both, agreed that Aaron might have been right. Yeah, no shot. It's not our fault for siding with Aaron. It's the creator didn't give us a third option. That is the problem. So if you wanna blame somebody, you know who to blame. I'm not for genocide. I'm not for genocide of the rest of the world, but I'm also not for genocide of Paradise. I always tend to try and stand by the weak, and Paradise was the weak factor here. And Paradise is the place that we called home for years. So naturally, I would stay by it. And now all that's left of Paradise is a giant tree where Aaron's body was buried, and a boy and a dog approached. Might have been a rainy day. The boy might slip. Now God knows what's down there. Might be Aaron himself waiting. I had different vision of how this would end, but maybe it ends with a sequel. Anyways, I wish you all good luck with, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this anime and potentially a sequel or whatever it is, but I'm just gonna move on with my life and try not to think much of it. It was, I would say it was a really good, it was during my high school, was a really good place to converse and philosophize with my friends about Attack on Titan and certain identities and plot twists and whatnot, but no, that's not the case. Hopefully, we will get an anime similar or on similar level to that one. I think a lot of magic came with the Wit Studio. It just knew how to capture the magic and the music. Yeah, that's what they say. Quality over quantity. And that's for most things in life. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.